You can get discouraged a lot of ways, but the one surefire way to avoid discouragement, first of all, let's understand something. We're all participating in this thing called life. All of us. Life has ebb and flows, mountaintops, it's got valleys, it's got thunderstorms in it, earthquakes. It's life. Stop expecting it to go smooth, because it ain't finna go smooth. The road to success is always under construction. This life ain't set up to be smooth. You combat negativity and you combat discouragement with gratitude. It's the one way to combat discouragement is with gratitude. What messes you up is you focus on the thing that's not happening. And that causes you to get discouraged. So whenever you get discouraged, you have to change your focus from what's not happening to what has happened. And it straightens you out immediately. Because what causes the downslide is if you get wrapped up into what ain't happening, it get ugly, man. And it just snowballs. But you have to focus on gratitude. People understand how serious gratitude is. You know, it's a serious principle of success. It's hard to be miserable and grateful at the same time. Joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. So when you get down and you start thinking about how dark it is, I want you to remember everything your mother taught you that was good. And that replaced all the negative thoughts I was having. Because joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. Well, now, you got to take that concept and apply it to your life. If joy and depression cannot reside in the same place, when you get depressed and you get discouraged, you got to replace it with joy. And what more joyous than gratitude? What has God done for you? Didn't you wake up today? Ain't you still breathing? Don't you have some measure of health? Ain't you working? You may not have the car you want, but don't you have a car? Ain't you eating groceries today? You ain't homeless? Now, when you start tripping and you get depressed, you got to go into yourself and come up with some gratitude. Once you get grateful, you can't be discouraged and grateful at the same time. You cannot do it. That's how you combat every single time. It happened to me the other day. I woke up, I just wasn't on the right side of the bed. Went downstairs and started doing my meditation. I pulled out a list of everything I'm grateful for. By the time I got to 13, I was fine. Because guess what? I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm healthy. My grandkids is healthy, my children is healthy. That's how you do it. That's how you combat. I'm telling you, it works. It works. Just try it.
Reasons come first, answers come second. If you get a compelling vision and you got strong enough reasons that will push you through the tough times, you're going to do things other people don't do. Instead of collapsing, even if you get off target, you won't go, oh, I blew it. You'll get right back on target, make the change, make things happen. First step, vision that's compelling. Second step, make sure that there's strong enough reasons to follow through. Third step, you got to review it and feel it every day. I mean, anything. Have you ever had this happen in your life? Has there been anything in your life that you've ever wanted so badly? You were so desirous of it. You had such a hunger for it that you couldn't stop thinking about it. Could have been a career move, could have been when you were a kid, a car, it could have been a relationship, it could have been anything, but you were obsessed. You wanted to make this happen. You wanted to attract this to your life. You just wanted something. And you didn't even know how to get it. But it was so compelling to you. You kept thinking about it every day, envisioning it, imagining it, feeling it. And then stuff happened. And suddenly you started to attract people or situations to your life, and it just came together. Like, you didn't even have a total plan. It was just that it was so a part of your focus with so much intensity and emotion so often that it sensitized you to notice anything that could get you there. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. For short, we call it the RAS. That part of your brain determines what you notice in the world. And it's really important because when you set a goal, when you get really clear on a vision, there's strong enough reasons, and you review it enough, and it becomes a part of you, that part of your brain says, anything that relates to this, I need to notice. It's like, did you ever buy a certain kind of car or maybe a certain outfit, and suddenly you see that car everywhere, or those outfits everywhere? Well, you know the cars were always around, but why do you see it now? because your RAS knows this is important. This is part of my world now. Similarly, when you really get clear and it's compelling and you're reviewing it every day, got strong reasons, and you're reviewing it every day and you're feeling it, the brain becomes incredibly acute at noticing anything to get you to move forward. And so that's the power of it.
Great. Sit up in your chair with some energy then. Put yourself in a peak state. And let's take a look at what 9 of these emotions, or 8 or 7, or whatever I put up here are. Number 1, fear. So if you're feeling fear, what does that mean usually? What's the message? The message always is that you need to change something. Is that true? Yes or no? So every negative emotion means I've got to what? I've got to what? Change something. Either my perception or what I'm doing. Fear means that you got to prepare for something. You're afraid because your brain's saying message is prepare. Change what you're doing and get more prepared. Prepare for something that's going to happen so you're better prepared for it physically. Now sometimes we just indulge in the emotion and we stay in the fear and we really are prepared. For example, let's say you're going to get up to speak in front of a group and you're prepared but you still have fear. It's because you got the message, you did the work, but you didn't shut the emotion off and say, you know, I am prepared. No reason to be afraid anymore. I'm ready. I'm ready. You never told your brain, it's okay, you don't have to give me a message anymore, I've done my work. Okay? So it's saying you need to prepare for something. Maybe it's a physical challenge. Maybe it's preparing for some loss that may be coming up. Something's about to come up, you need to be prepared for it. Okay, just get prepared. But once you get prepared, get off it. Let your brain know, okay, I am prepared, move on. Focus on what you want now. What's hurt? Hurt usually is telling you an expectation you had has not been met. It's just telling you, hey, you have this expectation, it's not met. So what should you do when you have an expectation that's not met? You should focus on what you do want now. Write down your notes. Focus on what you do want now. Don't keep focusing on why you're disappointed or how somebody disappointed you or how you feel so hurt by them. An expectation wasn't met and you need to change your approach. Focus on it. Or it means you need to change your communication. Hurt means you expected someone to treat you a certain way and they didn't treat you that way. So you need to change your communication. You need to come to them and say, you know, I need your help. You know, when you communicate that way, in the past, I've interpreted that to mean you didn't care. I know you care because I know how much you love me and I love you. You know, could you help me out this way? What does it really mean to you when you do that? And then listen. Say, you know, in the future, I really appreciate it if you do it this way instead. Would that work for you? Would you be willing to do that? Okay, great. Fantastic. It's a message that says you got to communicate your needs better if you're feeling hurt. Hurt means I need to communicate my needs better. Or hurt also means I need to meet someone else's needs. So you feel hurt because you didn't meet their needs. That's why they didn't meet yours. Either you're not meeting their needs or you're not communicating how to have your needs be met. Or you have an expectation, you need to move on. This is not going to work out, so focus on what will. Third, anger. Anger is a message that says you have a major rule that's been violated. When you're angry, you have a rule that's been violated. We all have rules about how things must be and how they should be. And boy, some rules, if somebody violates some of our rules, man, we really get angry, don't we? By the way, you may also be angry because you violated your own rules. Is that true? Yeah, you're not doing what you believe you must do, and you get angry with yourself. Sometimes we get angry with ourselves, we spread that out towards somebody else, find somebody to lay blame on. 4, frustration. Frustration is a message that what you're doing isn't working, and that you need to what? Change. If you're frustrated, it means you still can succeed, but you got to change. You're frustrated, says, God, something's here and you know you could succeed and you're frustrated because what you're doing isn't working. Change and you can still get what you want. Flex. Disappointment. Disappointment's a message again. You expected something to happen, it's not going to. So immediately focus on what you want now. Focus on what you want now. It's a message that you have to get off it. You need to let go of something and move on and focus on what you want now. Guilt. Guilt is a powerful emotion if it's not abused and overused and indulged in. Any of these emotions are lousy if you indulge in them. Would you agree with me on that? Sit there and indulge in your fear and your hurt and your anger. Indulging means you keep focusing on the feeling instead of getting the message and moving on, learning. Guilt, though, can be valuable. It's telling you you have violated one of your own standards. And you need to do something immediately to be certain you won't do this again. You're having that pain of guilt because your brain is saying you just violated one of your most important standards of your life. You violated one of your own values. And you're going to keep getting this pain until you make yourself certain you're not going to do this again. You know what some people do? They just keep going back and feeling guilty about what they did in the past. The message is saying get clear you broke your own rules, and commit no matter what, you're not going to do it again. Make it clear, be certain you're not going to do it again, and your guilt will go away like that. Because that's the purpose of guilt, to make sure you don't violate your standards and make sure you do it well in the future.
Success, by the way, is not some overnight event. It's all these little things. Success is having a vision. Success is making it compelling. Success is really seeing it, feeling it every day with strong enough reasons. Success is feeling the sense that I'm here to grow and I'm here to give something to the world more than just myself. Success is caring about other people. Success is calling and saying, I love you in the middle of the day for no damn reason. Or sending a note. That'll change your relationship. Have a ritual of something funny, playful, or a surprise you do. How many relationships are dead today because they have no surprise rituals anymore? You need to have some rituals, some cool things you do that nobody else does that gives you a better life than anybody else has. All the little stuff. That's where success comes from. In business, it comes from delivering more than anybody could imagine. All those little things add up. People go, wow, that's who I want to do business with. It's true in any area of your life. So if you look at somebody who's really successful and you think, wow, I mean, they're so amazing, they're such a genius, you got to dig underneath and you got to remember something. People are rewarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private. Myself and my business people say, how do you get up and speak? And you have no notes and you go for 3 days and nights and the room is like, it's wired and it's incredible. It's like a rock concert. How do you do that? How do you have that confidence? Well, and you know, it's not confidence, it's experience now. But I did so much behind the scenes and I still do to make things right. I mean, how many people would know that since the time I was 17 years old, before I walk on stage, still do to this day, wouldn't need to do it, but I still do it, I never walk out there without being in an absolute peak state of mind. You know, there are days my back is hurting, my throat is hurting, or I may have had a challenge, or my father passed away, and I've still got to deliver for these people because my standard is give my all every time. Every event has to be better. Talk to anybody who's been to our events for 5, 10 years, some of our trainers, and I'll say, I don't know how he does it. He always finds a way to make it better. That's not an ego thing. That's a standard in me. I have to find the way. And my ritual, though, is I prepare, I think, I gather new information, I figure out how to put something across better. What do people need? I spend time with our customers. I see what's going on. And before I get on stage each time, I have this little ritual.
You have to want to work. You never get better if you're not willing to put in the time.
Most people think, well, I'll be successful if something happens. I'll be successful if I win the lottery ticket. Look, you're not going to be successful if you don't demand it, if you literally don't stake a claim to it, say, this is mine, it's important, you're not going to have it.
People, why can't you be satisfied? Why do you always got to get things so perfect? Why do you spend so much time here? When you're obsessed, people think you're nuts. High performers are obsessed about the topic in which they're trying to learn, master, grow into. And if no one thinks you're crazy, you're not yet operating to the outer limits of your potential. You're not there yet. Because somebody in your life should say, you really care about this in a crazy way. And when you get there, you know you found your thing.
Most of y'all where y'all are because you never take ownership. It's always somebody else's problem. It's always somebody else's fault why you didn't do what you were supposed to do. It's not their fault. Take ownership. Take the parts that belong to you. Why? Because I'm the one that's messing up opportunities. I'm the one that keeps repeating my past. And you need to free yourself up and start doing something new. But you can't do new until you get rid of that old.
Now, we've got it down to 5 and 2. And maybe that's not too dangerous. I don't know. If God would have thought of 5 and 2, he might have made it 5 and 2. I don't know. You can't think of everything. But here's what it does mean. Enterprise is better than ease. If you rest too long, the jungle overtakes the village. Now here's the good news about the war between good and evil. Evil is no match for good, but good must be active. Weeds are no match for human activity, but if you stand still, how far in will they come? All the way. They'll grow right up around your shoes.
And for many of you, you have robbed yourself of a full life because you don't want to deal with crises, because they're uncomfortable, and because you're timid and passive, you run from them. There's going to be some scars. The scars going to come. You might as well get blessed by the scars. They're going to come.
But if you get busy, how far back can you take them? As far as you wish. They're no match, but you must be active. That's why the 6 and 1. Make sure you're not losing the war by taking off too much. Guess what the average years are after retirement? 6. 6. Which means don't retire. Your chances are too slim. There are 3 ways to learn from other people. The first is to listen to the cassettes and read the books by and about people who've accomplished great things. All the successful people I know and work with around the world are good readers. They just read. They are so curious that they are driven to read because they just have to know. It is one of the things they all have in common. Here's a good phrase: all leaders are readers. And they use cassette programs too, especially while they're in the car or during other times when they can't read. Cassettes can help all of us easily pick up new ideas and new skills. Did you know there are cassettes and books on how to be stronger, more decisive, a better speaker, a more effective leader, have a better effect on other people, become more loving, develop personality, get rich, develop influence, become sophisticated, and people don't use them? How would you explain that? Did you know that hundreds of successful people have written their stories in books and told how they did it on cassettes like this, and people don't want to listen? How would you explain that? The guy's busy, I guess. He says, well, yeah, if you worked where I work, by the time you struggle home, it's late. You've got to have a bite to eat, watch a little TV, and get to bed. You can't stay up half the night and read. And this is the guy that's behind on his bill. He's a good worker, hard worker, sincere. But remember, you can be sincere and work hard all your life and wind up broke, confused, and embarrassed. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good reader, a good listener. At least he could hear a good cassette on the way home, right? Now, you don't have to read or listen to educational cassettes half the night. Although if you're broke, it's a good place to start. But here is all I ask. Just 30 minutes a day. That's all. Stretch it to an hour if you can, but at least 30 minutes. Half rich isn't bad. 30 minutes. Hear or read something challenging, something instructional, at least 30 minutes a day. And here's the next key. Every day. Don't miss. Miss a meal, but not your 30 minutes. Hey, you can get along without some meals, but you can't get along without some ideas, examples, and inspiration. There's a Bible phrase that says, humans cannot live on bread alone, or food alone. It says the next most important thing to bread is word. Words nourish the mind. Words nourish the soul. Humans have to have food and words to be healthy and prosperous. Make sure you have a good diet of words every day. I told my staff one day, some people read so little they have rickets of the mind. And also remember, to properly feed the mind, you must have good balance. Don't just read or listen to the easy stuff. You can't live on mental candy.
The point is, engaging people have that kind of energy. It doesn't matter who they are, where they are, they have that kind of experience. So what you and I got to do is got to tap that out. So how many of you have had times when you were in the flow, where energy was going through you, like you didn't have to think about it. The right thing was said, the right thing came out of you? Who's been in this place before? Say I. Oh, come on, say I. Who's ever had a time where you did something, after you did it, you thought, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. Who's done this before? Say I. Who's done something where after you did it, you went, that was me. I don't know how I did that shit. That was cool shit. Who's ever impressed yourself? Say I. Now you're the same person. How come one situation you're an idiot, the other one you're brilliant? Who's ever forgotten how to spell your own, how to remember, let's say, your own email or your home phone number, or how to spell a difficult word like the? Let me see your hands here. In fact, phone numbers are crazy now for most of us, right? Because now we have this outboard brain. If we lose this brain, we're screwed. I don't even know how to call my mom, for God's sakes, right? You don't know what to do when you don't have this thing. So the point of the matter is, if we increase the energy in the work, so now here's the thing, where does energy come from? Does energy come from sleep? Yes or no? Really? Who here has ever slept 8 hours and still been tired as shit? Let me see your hands right here. Okay, so that wasn't it, right? Is it food that gives you energy? Really? Thanksgiving's coming. I know what you're going to do, right? You're going to get to Thanksgiving. It's about giving thanks. You're going to take care of this nurtured body of yours. You're going to say, no, give me the vegetables, a little this, a little that, right? Now, what do people do at Thanksgiving? What do? Eat everything within reach. And when you're totally stuffed and you can't have another bite and you say, I'll never what? I'll never eat again. And somebody goes, pumpkin pie? You go, okay. Come on, who knows what I'm talking about here? And by the way, what happens after? You feel like going for a run? What do you want to do at the end of that meal? Tell me what. Who here has ever fasted 5, 6, 7 days or more, gone on a fast? Does your energy increase or decrease as you no longer eat? Which one? Increases massively. So if it's not food and it's not sleep, don't get me wrong, those are useful, then what is it? The answer is it's psychology. It's a mindset. It's a decision inside yourself where you say, I will no longer tolerate low energy in my life because low energy equals shit relationship. That's a technical term. Low energy means low lousy business. Low poor energy means I no longer have the impact on my children. Someone else with greater energy is going to. And if we can find a way to increase our energy, and here's the good news about it, it's psychology and it's movement. The way you move will create it.
For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, and to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. And after a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with him. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou hast delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides him 5 talents more. Look at me, God, I did good. That's not in your Bible, that's in mine. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee rule over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. He also that had 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. And his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joys of the Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown and gathering where thou hast not strewn. Watch this closely. I was afraid, and I went and hid thy talent in the earth, and lo, there thou hast that which is thine. His Lord said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which have 10 talents, for unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not, it shall be taken away that which he seemeth to have. Can the church say amen? Remain standing. I'm going to pray with you while you're standing. I do that so that you can't sleep while I'm preaching. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about the instinct to increase. The instinct to increase. Say that with me. The instinct to increase. Say it again. The instinct to increase. God never intended for you to stay where you started, in where you began. Just maintain, neutralize, and wait on him. There is something down inside of you that God wants to bring forth. The very first command, the very first word that God said to man was be fruitful.
In my 30s, I was homeless based off of a decision I made. October 8th, 1985, I walked in a comedy club for the very first time. Never been in a comedy club, but I had been writing jokes all my life. 2 years, I was writing jokes for a dude taking my jokes, going to a comedy club. He was paying me $10 for it. I had never been to a comedy club, had never heard of a comedy club. I was writing for a buddy of mine named AJ Jamal. He would pay me $10 a joke. One day, I was writing some jokes for him, and I was over his house to drop him off, and this girl named Gladys Jacobs came over to the house, and she said, you the dude that's writing the jokes for AJ Jamal? I said, yeah. She said, he the funniest dude at the comedy club. I said, at the what? She said, he's the funniest dude at the comedy club. I'm 27. I've never heard of a comedy. Now, all my life, I wanted to be on TV. I'm going to tell you that story a little bit. But I just said, man, at the comedy club, she said, you should come. She said, why don't you tell the jokes yourself? Really? Tell the jokes myself? She said, yeah. Now, I'm thinking, I said, man, this could be what I've been asking God my whole life. See, some of you in this spot where you keep asking God, what do I do next? What's my next move? You know the hardest thing about your life? Trying to figure it out. Ain't that hard? But do you know that you ain't supposed to do that? Do you know that God already designed you for a purpose in life? And if you would just simply ask God what it was, he could guide you to it, and the search for what I'm supposed to do would be over. But oh no, we so busy figuring it out. I got news for you. How to do something, the how-to is none of your business. That's what I never knew. So I was just wanting, man, to just be on TV since I was a little kid. And the girl said, come to the comedy. So I go to the comedy club with her. She said, we gonna go Tuesday night. I want you to sign up to perform next week. And then I want you to see how I go first. I said, cool. So I went, I walked in the comedy club. I signed up for the following week. And I sit down. I didn't have no money back then. This girl named Gladys Jacob bought me some chicken wings and grapefruit juice. And I was sitting there watching. It was supposed to be 10 dudes perform. 9 of them went up. Now, I ain't laughed all night. She said, you're not laughing at none of these jokes. You know why? Because what they were doing was my actual gift. It was the thing I've been doing my whole life. So I wasn't laughing at their joke because I knew everything they was going to say. And I knew everything they should have said where the joke would have really been funny. So I'm just sitting there just a student, man. If you wake up in the morning and you start having negative thoughts, man, this ain't my day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm tripping. I just don't feel myself. Just stop for a second and start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for. Everything you already have, not everything you want. Because what you have is substantial. The fact that you can walk, that's a blessing. The fact that you woke up, that's another blessing. See, think, reason, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go somewhere and get yourself something to eat, that's another blessing. The ability to dream is a blessing. The fact that you have an opportunity to get it right is another blessing. The fact that you have any measure of health, that's another blessing. I could give you 50 things you ought to be grateful for right now. I don't even know you. Start coating your mind with gratitude. It'll change everything for you.
As we travel from season to season, it is seeing the wicked go forward while the righteous are held back. Sometimes I see people succeeding who didn't work nearly as long, have not been faithful at all. They seemingly have moments of victory. Their victories are flaunted in my face while all hell has broken loose in my life. Seemingly they are having victory and triumph. The very sight of their prosperity becomes your agony. That it is not your test that baffles you, but their success agonizingly displayed before you makes you despair of life. How they prosper in their own way, they shall soon be cut off.
Decide to do it now. Decide whatever you want to do, that you are now going to become actively involved, exploring the possibilities for you. That you're going to look at it and do just a little bit of it. When I decided to become a speaker, I didn't just quit my job and just ran out and say, I'm a motivational speaker. No. I decided to start looking at other people that were involved in the speaking profession. Whatever you want to do, get your feet wet. Gain some experience. Find out whether or not this thing you want to do will fit for you. If you want to have a restaurant, have you ever operated a restaurant before? Well, really, you don't even know if you want one. You got to find out what fits for you. Because you might decide that after you go up in there and examine it and experience it and get some experience, you say, this is really not what I want. This does not fit for me. So decide that you're going to do that.
If you're giving space to guilt, you will not have the confidence you need to move forward. That will cause you to fail again. It's a negative cycle. The only way you can break it is to rise up and say, that's it. I am done living in the past, focused on my mistakes, reliving my failures, beating myself up. This is a new day. I'm emptying out all that infection. I'm going to receive God's mercy. You have to do this by faith, because every voice will tell you, you're a hypocrite. God's not going to forgive you. Look what you've done. Doesn't have anything to do with what you have or haven't done. It has to do with what Jesus has already done. But Joel, I made a lot of mistakes. I don't deserve to be blessed. None of us deserve it. This is what mercy is all about. That's why it's called the good news. Your sins have already been forgiven. You don't have to pay God back for your mistakes. The price has already been paid. When you fall down, don't stay down. Get back up again. When the accuser whispers, look at you. You blew it again. You'll never get it right. Just answer back, yes, I know I'm not perfect, but I am forgiven. I may not be where I should be, but I'm making progress. I'm moving forward. I'm not where I used to be. Don't let guilt poison your future. Empty it out. Sometimes it's hard to empty out the negative. When a person does us wrong, human nature wants to hold on to the hurt, become bitter, carry around a grudge. We think, I'm not going to forgive them. They don't deserve it. You're not forgiving for their sake. You're forgiving for your sake. As long as you hold on to the hurt, the anger, the bitterness, it's not affecting them, it's infecting you. Unforgiveness is like a poisonous toxin. It may feel good to hold on to it, but it will contaminate your life. Now, a lot of times the reason we don't forgive is because what the other person does was wrong. They were clearly at fault. But when you forgive, you're not excusing their behavior. You're not lessening the offense. You're simply getting the poison out of you. You have to forgive so you can be free. Quit looking at it like you're doing them a favor. You're doing yourself a favor. See, it takes a lot of emotional energy to hold a grudge, to live with unforgiveness. You wake up, it's always on your mind, thinking about how they did you wrong. you may not realize you are spending emotional energy that you need for your dreams, for your goals, for your children. You won't become all you were created to be if you are wasting emotional energy on things that don't matter. That unforgiveness is an impurity. Yes, what they did was wrong, but you have to let it pass. You have to release it. When you do, you'll not only feel a new freedom, not only have more energy, but God will be your vindicator. He will make your wrongs right. You don't have to pay people back. You're not the judge. God is. Leave it up to Him, and He'll vindicate you better than you could vindicate yourself. This is what a lady did named Mary Johnson. She was a single mother of one son. When he was 20 years old, he was out late one night at a party. This young man came up that he had never met. His name was Oshie. He was 16 years old and had been drinking. There was an altercation. In the heat of the moment, Oshie pulled out a gun and shot Mary's only son. He was instantly killed. Mary was so filled with anger and hatred, she told the judge that 16-year-old boy was an animal and he needed to be caged. When he was only charged with second-degree murder, Mary was even more angry. She became a recluse, stayed in her house, wouldn't look at her son's picture. 10 years passed. She knew it was time to forgive. She could hear the still small voice telling her to let it go. She contacted the prison to see if she could visit Oshie. They said yes, but Oshie said no. He wouldn't do it. She kept asking and asking. Finally, he agreed. She showed up at the prison. When she saw Oshie, he came around and gave her a big hug and held onto her. They wept and wept. Mary said, as I was embracing Oshie, I could feel hatred and bitterness rising up out of me and leaving my body. It was so strong that she fell over. Oshie had to hold her up. That day, Mary not only emptied out the unforgiveness, but she found a new son. 7 years later, Oshie was released on parole, didn't have any place to live. Mary said, you can live next door to me. She calls him her spiritual son. Mary started an organization called From Death to Life to help mothers who have lost children to violence. Now she and Oshie go out and speak at conferences and schools about unforgiveness and overcoming loss. Mary said what really helped her decide to forgive was a poem she heard about two mothers in heaven that had just become friends. One mother asked the other, who is your son? She said, my son is Jesus. I'm Mary. Mary asked, who is your son? She said, my son is Judas. When Mary Johnson heard how in this poem, Mary, the mother of Christ, had befriended the mother of Judas, she knew she had to reach out to that other family. Now she helps other mothers do the same thing. Out of your pain can come your purpose. I saw a lady on television recently. Several years earlier, her son had been killed in an accident. They asked her how she was doing, and she made the statement, you never really get over it, but you can get past it. She was saying, yes, it's difficult. Yes, there was a season of mourning, but you don't have to stay in mourning. You don't have to live bitter. You don't have to get stuck in grief, in depression. You can move forward. When you go through a loss, things happen you don't understand. It's easy to think, I just need to get over this. But sometimes that's too strong. It can put more pressure on us. We think, why do I feel this way? I must be doing something wrong. Take the pressure off. You don't have to get over it. Just get past it. Just keep moving forward, taking it one day at a time. God said He will never give you something that you cannot handle. You may not understand why it happened, but the Scripture says God will give us a peace that passes understanding. You're not going to figure everything out. If you'll let go of the questions of life, you will have a peace that goes beyond what you can understand. Toward the end of Jesus' life, He'd been betrayed by a disciple, mocked by the soldiers, falsely accused. Now He was hanging on the cross, wearing a crown of thorns, about to breathe His last breath. He did something significant. He could have just died and went on to heaven. That was it. But He said, Father, before I go, I need to take care of one last thing. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. They didn't ask for forgiveness. They didn't deserve it. Jesus was saying, in effect, I'm not going to leave this earth with anything negative in me. He was showing us by example how we should release the toxins. I read where Leonardo da Vinci was painting a portrait of Christ. He let some small children in the room to watch him paint. One of them accidentally knocked over the easel. He became very upset and ushered them out of the room. He sat back down to finish, but he said he could not paint the face of Christ with anger in his heart. That's what happens when we hold on to the negative. It stifles our creativity. We don't do our best work. It's because there's infection that's slowing us down. Are you allowing negative things in your container? To reach the fullness of your destiny, you need to operate at your maximum potential. If you have a little bitterness, a little guilt, a little jealousy, a little worry, if you add up all the space the little is taking, you're only operating at a fraction of what you could. I'm asking you to empty all that out. God is ready to fill your life with good things. He wants to keep you young and strong. Do your part and make room for Him. Every morning, empty out the guilt, empty out the worry, empty out the discouragement. And when the impurities come, when the infection comes, don't let it stay. Let it pass on through. Keep your heart pure. If you do this, I believe and declare you're going to step up to a new level